Hey everyone, Sarah Picaro. This is not going to be a fun video to record, but it is going to be one full of vulnerability and opening up. So I thought that I deserved with the last narcissist all of the abuse, like all of it. I thought that I deserved it. And I endured it. I put up with it, even though I knew that I was being abused, never physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially. And I stayed. I stayed because I thought I deserved to be abused. And the reason why I thought that I deserved to be abused, even though nobody does, right? Logically, we all know that. But we do a lot of things that don't logically make sense, like stay in abusive relationships or believe that we deserve them. But I truly and honestly believed that I deserved to be abused, that I was paying the price for my sins. I grew up in a very Christian family, and I had long, long stopped going to church when I met the first narcissist. I didn't know he was a narcissist then. It wasn't actually until uh, being with the second one and realizing, looking back on all of these things, events, past experiences, patterns within the relationship, within the other person, within myself, that all of this started to come together, like all these puzzle pieces started to come together. And then I realized I truly believe that I thought I deserved this abuse because of what I had done. When I was married, I had an affair. I cheated on my husband. We've been together for 9 years and I had it all. Like we were the Joneses. We were this beautiful power couple, perfect together, right? Or that's so it seemed. And everyone thought that and believed that. They didn't see what was happening behind closed doors. Uh, they didn't see what truly was being felt, that we had a 4,000 square foot home on the golf course, on a lake, 3 cars, BMW, Range Rover, nice Volkswagen. We had the dogs, we had it all, right? And we did everything together. And I went and cheated on him. And I can say I don't know why, but I know exactly why. And I didn't understand what was happening, but I did understand how wrong it was. And it was like I got sucked into it. And when you're in the midst of that, it can kind of feel like that. You want to stop, but it feels so good at the same time. And I didn't realize that I was using that other person in that relationship and all of that external validation to fill this void that was in my marriage, and obviously ruining it for the best, I can honestly say. And then what happened after? So got caught cheating on our 5-year wedding anniversary. I had a separate cell phone that I was using to communicate with this other person with, brought it with me. Like, what was I thinking? I don't know, but what is anyone thinking when they're doing that? So brought it with me and was actually messaging the person while my husband was in the shower when we were at a resort to celebrate our 5-year wedding anniversary. That's the day that I got caught, and that's the day that my life, there's been many days where it dramatically changed, but that was one of the biggest. And I've never admitted this, but I feel like it's time, right? And I can now because I've done the inner work to heal and remove and release the shame that I was carrying and holding on to. So we separated immediately and I got kicked out of the house and put in a hotel room. I had to put myself in the hotel room. He did not care where I went or what happened to me. So lived in a hotel room for a couple weeks and then found a room on Craigslist in a house. And I just took like literally 2 suitcases and moved into this room in a house with other women and went to get my hair done like a week later and was telling my hairdresser my version of the story, didn't tell her the complete truth because it was just so riddled with shame. And of course, right, as a kind, caring person would, told me, oh my gosh, you're incredible. You don't deserve that. You deserve better. My girlfriend just met this guy online and they've been together for a year and a half now, but they met online. And, the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that would be nice. And I honestly just wanted to go out on a date and be taken out for dinner and not have to pay for it because I didn't have any money. And I didn't want to sit in this room alone, like literally alone. I had no friends. My family lived in a different state. They had no idea what was going on. So I did that. I hopped online on a dating app and started swiping, and into my life came the next narcissist. And it's like they can smell it, right? They get to know you right away. And I had no idea what was happening. I just thought, oh, this guy, and he's taking me on dates, like really nice dates, really nice dinner, bottles of wine, buying me gifts, taking me on trips. And very, very quickly, we started going on trips within 2 weeks. And it was an intense love bombing stage and phase. And I now know all about that, but I didn't know that then. And just literally got sucked right into this vortex. And now, having done the inner work to heal, I realize I believe that I thought that I deserved the abuse. Immediately, red flags everywhere. But I was so riddled and filled with the shame of what I had done in the previous relationship and all of those negative, limiting, detrimental, self deprecating beliefs that I had about myself. And I'd say the most intense one was the shame for having had an affair, the shame for having cheated on my husband, the shame for ruining my own life. I mean, it was by my own hands and by my own choices, and I was filled with and riddled with that shame. And when I began to be abused emotionally, spiritually, financially, verbally in this next relationship, I knew it was wrong, but I thought that I deserved it. I thought it was the price that I had to pay because of what I had done to my husband and to our relationship. And that is honestly what I can say is the number one thing that kept me in that next emotionally abusive and narcissistic relationship was because of the shame, the heaviness, the burden that I was carrying. I didn't have any friends. I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. And even when I began to get friends, I didn't tell them the truth. I didn't tell them what actually happened. I just said, oh, my husband left me. And he very quickly moved on to another woman and another marriage and a whole new life. And so I do have my own theories about that, right? And it's just a theory. Like, I don't have the proof, and many of us don't. We just have theories, feelings, thoughts, beliefs about what this other person did. And I use that to validate and justify and explain when I was sharing my side of the story of what happened to other people. And I never, ever, ever told the truth. So I realized not telling the truth and what I had done and owning up to my part kept me holding on to the shame, kept me holding on to this belief that I deserved this, that this was my price to pay for what I had done, and kept me in the next emotionally abusive relationship for far too long. To the point, I mean, there were so many times even within that I cheated on him, right? And in a narcissistic relationship, oftentimes you'll be on and off and on and off and on and off. And so it was during the off periods that I would just go get with somebody else, right? Like people online, on apps, and other people at work. And full disclosure, I ended up getting pregnant by someone who was not my boyfriend. And in my head, it was during one of our off periods, and I lied about that and ended up not keeping the baby by pressure of the other person involved because they had another relationship, they already had a child, and I was convinced by this person that it would ruin my life. And I believed, because the narcissist instilled in me insurmountable amounts of fear, that if I ever cheated on him, and he was military, pretty high up in the military, that he would kill me and he would kill the other person, and had vividly described horror stories of what he had done to past girlfriends, past relationships when they cheated on him, what he had done to the people that he cheated on him with. I mean, gruesome, like gruesome stuff that you only hear about in the news or in like horror movies. And I don't know if any of that was true. but I do know that I believed it to be true. And so I was terrified, like could not sleep at night, shaking because of what I had done to my husband, because of what I had done in this situation now, and had no idea, or I would say, I had no idea how my life got to be this way. But obviously, it was because of my choices and my actions. But where do choices and actions come from? Like, there's a reason why we do things. And that was all linked to and connected to how I felt about myself, what I believed about myself. And now, in this next abusive relationship, I thought that I deserved to be treated this way, that I was like paying the price for my sins, so to speak. And none of that made sense then. And it wasn't until I started seeing that I was the common denominator. So the shame around the cheating, the shame around, choosing to not keep this child, all of that. I mean, I cannot tell you like how heavy that was. And the only way that you can ever know is if you've actually made those choices and had those experiences yourself. And you're the only one left carrying that shame. I mean, no one else was carrying it for me. God, I wish they would have, but they didn't and they weren't. I was carrying that shame. And I now know that it was all linked to why I stayed in these abusive relationships, why I attracted these abusive relationships, and why I thought that I could never get out, and why I never believed that I deserved anything better. So I grew up in a very religious family, a very Christian family, and I had long stopped going to church. But I had always had that in the back of my head, like, oh, I'm paying the price for my sins. And it took me away from God because I'm like, why is this happening to me? If you really are up there, why would you be letting this happen? How did my life get to be this way? And I was terrified, like filled with terror, filled with shame, filled with guilt, filled with resentment, filled with anger. I was becoming a very angry person, just completely numb, drinking way too much, cheating, or I mean, on this on and off relationship, hooking up with other guys, other people, and completely lost in every sense of my life. I wanted it all to end. I wanted to die. I wanted it to just all go away. I never felt like I could go on, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I was completely now dependent financially on this emotionally abusive person because we ended up getting pregnant. I did verify that it was his and then chose to have that child. Thank God that I did because she's like everything to me now. But I'm sharing this video to maybe have you understand that you're not alone and receive this message, and it's not just you. If you have done those things and made those choices in the past and you're still carrying the heaviness, the shame, the guilt, the burden, the anxieties, the frustration, the tension, and you're still feeling utterly and completely lost, and you're still staying in an emotionally abusive relationship, or staying with a narcissist, or afraid to leave, or have been with one and realize you continue to attract narcissists and like, such toxic people into your life. The people that are in our lives are a mere reflection of how we feel about ourselves. And that's a quote that I read, and I've read it a million times, and it never made sense until, I mean, thank God it led me on this path to doing what I do now and allowing people to heal from within using hypnosis, using transformational therapy sessions and trance, and going into your own mind and connecting with those events, connecting with those feelings, with those thoughts, those images, those beliefs that you have about yourself that are all connected to what's happening in your life today and how you feel about it, whether it's good or bad or right or wrong. I mean, those are just labels, right? But I felt that I deserved the pain because of what I had done. And I know now that I didn't. And a lot of that even linked back to and connected back to my childhood, my upbringing, things that happened with my parents, friends, family, at school. All of it is connected. But if you are there and you believe that you deserve to be abused, yet you can't go on living in this abuse or swimming in this pool of shame and guilt anymore, and you're stuck there, know that there is a way out. And the way out is in. And if you want your external world to start looking and feeling and being different, your internal world has got to change. And that starts in your mind. It starts in those, in your brain, and those beliefs that you have about yourself, that internal reflection that is representing and showing up externally. So I don't share this story to get sympathy and oh my God, but I mean, we're humans. We're perfectly imperfect. But if you're at a point in life where you maybe have experienced or gone through things that I have, or maybe your spouse has done the things to you that I did to mine, and you're just at a point where you cannot go on anymore because of this and completely stuck, I would love to connect and love to talk with you and take you on your own internal journey to healing so that you can live a much better, much healthier, much more profound life without the heaviness of that guilt and shame that you've been carrying around. So thank you for watching this video, and we can connect more one-on-one by just visiting the link in the description below this video. Talk more about how to rewrite your life. Thank you.